Today I want to talk to you about how to make money through real estate investment. First off, let's go over the 3 most common ways to do this. First is flipping property. Obviously the most flashy and right now most trendy way to make money in real estate. Second is purchasing a property for cash flow. In other words, purchasing a home with the intentions of becoming a landlord and collecting rent monthly for a profit. And then the third is an asset and usage. This is when you purchase a home as a primary residence with the intention of selling it for a future profit. Now, let's go over the risk reward for each option. Let's start with flipping property. This is the most flashy and it can be the most exciting, but I want you to know this is absolutely the most risky real estate investment you can make. What happens is you are at the mercy of market volatility and many times high interest loans. If you do go this route though, I do have a couple of recommendations to mitigate that risk. So first off is choosing your location. You want to choose the flip property in a prime location. And if you're not going to be in that prime location, you want to be in the emerging market right outside of it. This way, if something should happen in terms of market volatility and you have to carry the property, you're in an area that rents pretty well and will likely come back in, say, 3 to 5 years. Second is your estimated return on investment. Make sure that the property you're purchasing can withstand a 10 to 15% market correction while you're under construction. So I would say have a minimum of a 25% return after all expenses, and that's all closing costs. That should be the minimum standard for flipping a property. So think about it this way. If you're buying a property for $100,000 and you're doing $50,000 in renovations, you'd have to sell the property for $187,500 plus 6% commissions, plus any financing costs and carrying costs just to break even. So keep all of this in mind when you're doing all of your numbers and evaluating what you have to sell this for to make a profit. For a monthly cash flow property, investors in our area basically want to see a 5 to 8% return. This is what they refer to as the cap rate. Basically what we're talking about here is the return on your money yearly. So to make it simple, let's say you buy a $500,000 property. You put down $100,000. You want to see a $5,000 return minimum on that $100,000 per year, and that's your 5% cap rate. Now, this doesn't take into account some of the tax benefits of owning investment properties. You get some really good write-offs there. And also think about it. You're owning an appreciating asset in which the tenants are paying down a mortgage. So over time, that $100,000 makes you $5,000 per year, also appreciates, let's say 1% per year, say 10% over that 10-year period, and you're paying down a mortgage. So all of this starts to really add up. And I mean, think about it, 10 to 15 years from now, you should have earned anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000. That gives you a 200% return on investment. Now let's talk about asset and usage. This is a property in which you're purchasing as a primary residence, and then you want to sell at a later date to make a profit. What makes this one interesting is obviously, rather than paying rent, you're paying down a mortgage, but there are some really great tax benefits to this. And I always advise everybody goes into this with a 3 to 5 year plan, which really saves you from any market volatility. That's about the time it takes for a market to come back around to get you back to square one or end up higher. But let's say you sell that property and you've lived in it more than 2 years. There is a tax exemption for any capital gains. So let's say you make $100,000 on that property. Now normally you'd have to pay minimum of 20% tax, which would be capital gains. But since you've lived in the property for more than 2 years, you're able to defer all of that and keep that full $100,000 profit. And what's even better is you get up to $250,000 exemption per spouse. So if you made a $500,000 profit, you get to keep all of that, essentially saving $100,000 or more. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. A lot of markets are trending downward. So you want to be diligent about your real estate investments. You absolutely don't want to be the one that bought at the top. But think of it this way. There's a lot of opportunity in down markets. So you want to take this knowledge and use it when the time is right. So call me today and we'll put together a strategy session. We'll go over all the information, and then when the time is right for you, we'll make that investment that pays off in the long run. So thank you again. I hope this was helpful for you. You know how to reach me. It's 551-200-1000 and RosadoRealtor@gmail.com. Talk to you soon.